Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. I'm using a new set by Mama Elephant called Tree Friends and some masking to create this scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my tree stamp, and I'm going to stamp it up with some Memento Rich Cocoa ink onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock because I'm going to be coloring it with Copics. And then I'm also going to stamp the trunk onto a piece of just Eclipse masking tape that I had sort of laying around from another project. But before I mask off the tree, I'm going to go ahead and color it with Copics. I'm going to start with the browns and do the tree trunk. And the tree has little dots on it which kind of guide me into where the shadows are supposed to be. And so I put the darkest color on the right, and then I put the medium color right next to the darkest color, and then also on the left hand side. And then I'm going back to blend it in with the lightest, which is E55. These branches are really super small, so I'm just doing the best I can to get as many colors as I can in there, but generally I can only really fit 2 colors in there. And you just want to make sure that the right hand side is a little bit darker than the left. So where the branches are a little bit thicker, I'm taking advantage of that and adding some extra color in there. And the key is you just want to keep all the branches consistent. Okay, now I'm going to start with my flowers. This was all a little bit of tedious coloring here. I started with an all over light color and then the dark and then the light. I thought, gosh, this is going to take me too long. So I changed my strategy here and I just went right to darks, and I did half of the flower on the right hand side dark, and then I colored in the light on the left hand side, blending it into the dark. And I just repeated this for each of the little tulip looking flowers, and same technique the whole entire time. Okay, now I decided to make these little ones yellow, and I originally used the Y11 and Y15, and I think it looks better with those 2 colors, but my Y11 ran out of ink, so I just went up one. So I used Y15 and Y17, and I'm just doing the same thing I did with the pinks, which is half on the right hand side Y17, and then on the left hand side the Y15. I just kind of skipped over that. Then for these other ones, I'm using the orange, 2 different colors of orange. Same technique, the right hand side is dark, the left hand side is light, and then I just blend them all together. And these areas are too small to have more than 2 colors. And in fact, with the leaves, which you see right here, I didn't want to go through and put 2 colors on each one of them. So what I ended up doing was I put the left half of the tree as the lighter color YG06, and then you'll see here now I'm using a darker color, it's YG09, and I did kind of 2 tones in the middle leaves, and then on the right hand side I did all YG09. So the left side of my tree is light and the right is dark. And then I used a white gel pen to put a little white dot into all the orange flowers. Alright, now I'm going to cut my mask out, and I'm going to put it on top of my tree trunk because I'm going to be creating the background and I don't want it to get on my trunk there. Okay, so I cut this piece out, and you can tell I've already used it. It's very reusable, this masking tape. I just drew a curve with a pencil and I cut it out with a scissor, so it's hand drawn. And I'm going to put my first layer down there. I'm going to do the sky first. And I'm using a sponge, not my rectangular applicator, because I want a little bit more control. And you'll see that I used a scratch sheet of paper to kind of load up my sponge with some ink, because I was a little nervous about going directly from ink pad to paper on a dry sponge. I wasn't sure how much ink I was going to get on there, and I didn't want to mess up the image after all that coloring I just did. So I just kind of primed it on a piece of scratch paper, got a bunch of ink on it, and then it was ready to go. Alright, so that's my sky. Now I'm going to take that same sheet of masking tape and I'm just going to tilt it a little bit in a different direction. And now I'm going to start with my hills. Same thing, priming my sponge on a piece of paper. And then I'm going to use my masking tape to cover up the top area of the hill in front of it is what I'm doing. And I'm going to color specifically on the line. Now I'm going to blend it upward, but really by the time I hit the sky it's going to be mostly white. So you really want to make sure you hit the line where the masking tape meets the paper, and that should be your darkest area. And again, the same sheet, and I'm just moving it around just a little bit to get a different shape, and the same technique. So I'm kind of pushing upward with my sponge, and especially trying to get the darkest in the bottom. Now for the last one, I'm just sponging the bottom. I don't need my masking tape anymore. And I'm going to basically do the same technique. I'm going to color upward, leaving the top of the hill white. And that's what gives you the perspective there. And I decided to add a little bit of grass right where the tree was, the tree trunk. I used 2 different colors of green. Okay, now I'm going to work on my background, and I'm going to place this sentiment 1/4 of an inch up. So I'm marking 2 lines so I can use that as a guide for stamping it. And I'm just going to eyeball it to get it in the center, but right on that 1/4 inch line. Now I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch in. And then I'm going to draw to the 1/4 of an inch line. So here's 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch with pencil. Connect those 2 with the ruler, and then you can see I've got 1/4 of an inch on my ruler to the right and to the left. So I'm going to start 1/4 of an inch in. I'm going to draw to 1/4 of an inch in. Again, draw the lines with the pencils first, and I'm just going to continue this all the way around. And then finally I'm just going to put my tree panel on there with some dimensionals, foam adhesive by Stampin' Up, and that's it. So it was a pretty easy card. The masking is really fun to do, and I hope you enjoyed it. So I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.